Hey, hi everyone. Uh, Today I'm going to do a quick tutorial and presentation uh, of a topic, suffix trees. I've laid down a presentation in the following format. I'll start. I'll cover some definitions. These definitions will include like what is a substring, what is a prefix, what is a suffix. Plus, I'll give you the nomenclature which I'll be using throughout the presentation. Second section, I'll discuss a data structure called trie, and then I'll show you how a trie is made, then how you can make a compressed trie. And from compressed trie, how can you make a suffix tree, right? So you can directly make a suffix tree also from a string. I'm explaining this thing so help you ease into what a suffix tree is. Then I'll give you a suffix tree definition independent of trie. So you can, if required, you can create a suffix tree on your own. You can first create a trie and then create a suffix tree, or you can straightway can make a suffix tree. Then after talking about suffix tree, I'll show you with example what is a suffix array. Same time, I'll discuss longest common prefix. And after that, I'll give you a general example of what is an implicit suffix and a general suffix. Okay. So implicit suffix is kind of one of the implementations things which is used in Okinon's algorithm. Then I'll discuss Okinon's algorithm. I'll give you a high level view and the three rules which are used for extension. I'll give you a piece pseudocode for it, and I'll explain you with an example. For example, I'll take a string x a b x a and show how a suffix tree is made. During this example, we'll realize that if you run the Okinaw's algorithm as such, you get O of n time, n cube time. There are certain tricks to improve it. Rather than showing you the source tricks straightforward, which Okinawan came up, I showed you the example to let you know how a suffix tree is made and how the actual time was there before. Then we'll talk about tricks to improve the Okinawan's algorithm. These are like three tricks. I'll discuss all these three tricks. Then I'll show you what active point is. Active point is a set of three coordinates which used together will give you a point from where you will begin your next extension or next phase in the Okinaw's algorithm, right? After that, uh, I'll discuss, show you how what is a suffix link. Then I'll take all these three things together: active point, rules, and suffix link, how they work in tandem together. After that, I'll show you two examples of constructing suffix tree in linear time. I'll take a string XABAXA, the same one which we did in section 3, to show you how we do this thing in linear time. Then I'll take another example, banana, which is a word from a dictionary to, a common English dictionary, to see how it's made. I've got a video too also uploaded. In video two, I have discussed a complicated example. It's a very long string x, y, z, x, y, a, x, y, z. It will show some certain cases of suffix link to help you understand it. So that is in my part two of my video. Plus, I've put in some examples in there. So I hope I know my presentation and tutorial is a bit lengthy, but the point for me in creating a lengthy tutorial is whatever is required to understand the Okinaw's algorithm, I'll touch base, so you don't have to go and read something to understand, what I'm talking about. So have some patience and uh, go through it, and I hope you'll learn something out of it. So let's get started. Uh, Give me a second. First thing I'm talking about is substring. Substring is a continuous sequence of characters in a given string. Substring is denoted by Si to j. It means, it says if there is a string, say S is equal to apple, then substring will be represented by S of I to j, where I has value. Suppose apple, you start counting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the range of I is, and j is, or if you have to represent in the length of the string, suppose the length of the string is, then I can be in the range of 1 to n, and j is less than greater than equal to I, and less than equal to n. So basically, when you're trying to make a substring out of a string, you move in the order from left to right, and you pick up alphabets in the continuous order. You don't skip anything, right? So in this regard, if anybody says what is a substring of s2 to 1, see this condition, like j becomes false. Whenever this condition becomes false, we say it's an empty substring. This will come in important because when we'll be discussing the ith plus 1 extension in Okenon's algorithm, we pick up an empty string, we don't find an empty string, and we increment si, we add the character si plus 1 to, the suffix string. So suppose apple is your string, your substring could be apple, pl, pple, ple, le, single characters a, p, l, e, just they have to be in the continuous order. So this is a substring. Now we talk about suffix. So suffix is defined as, suppose you have a string, suppose you have string t. Suffix of t is such that represented by f if there exists a string t such that t of s is equal to. So when you put concatenate t and s, you get the bigger letter. So this is a formal definition of substring. Let me explain you with an example. Suppose you pick up the letter apple. So all the possible suffixes would be apple, then pp, le, ple, le, and e. So these are all the possible suffixes of a word apple. You take whole string, then you move to the next one, and you go to the end, pick up this, go to the end, next character to the end, next character to the end, and the end correct. So this is what a suffix is. On the counter of that, what a prefix is. Prefix. Suppose we have a string key. Now p will be a suffix, p will be a prefix of t if there exists a string t, small t, such that when you concatenate p and t, you get the whole string, right? So going by this definition, let's pick up the same word again, apple. Prefixes of this would be apple, the whole letter, then a, p, p, l, a, p, p, a, p, and a, right? So this is what is a substring, prefix, and suffix. Substring will always be denoted by letter s, I to j, means you pick up from your move in that actual string, you are moving from I element to j element. Okay. Okay, next let's see a data structure called trie. Trie is basically your rooted tree with childs. Your branches will be labeled with letters sigma, where sigma will be your set of alphabets, which will represent your strings that you are trying to put in the data structure. So if you start from root and you go all the way to leaf, it will give you string values, and the letter dollar will be used to show you the end of string. So let's try to explain this with an example. Suppose you have couple of strings that you want to represent a n n a n a n n a n n a and a n e. You have got set of these string values and you want to represent create a try for it. So try will start at root with all possible childs coming out of it, which will represent different characters of sigma. Here sigma is your a, n, e, and dollar sign. These branches will be coming out in the sorted order like dollar, a, n, e. So that will all this is just a representation to show you you will create the childs in the sorted order. So let's try to represent these string in a what you call with a try. Let me quickly erase this. Uh, Keeping the letters as such. So first is we try start from the rooted tree. Pick up A. We are talking about the first string. We come at an internal node. From internal nodes, again, like I showed you before, for each node you will have all possible branches coming out of it, representing the values of your character set, which in this case is A, N, E, and dollar sign. Now you have N. Now again, next node, it's A. And to represent a leaf node, you'll use a dollar sign. Now go on to the next string. Next string is A is already there, N is already there. Now from it, you have another coming out of it labeled N. Again, we will dollar sign and will. Next string is A, N, N is there, N is there. You have got A coming. Represent with dollar and this is leaf. Last is your A, N, E. You see A is there, N is there. So you put out E, dollar sign. So this is basically your try representation of your given strings, right? It's nothing but a rooted tree with edge labels, with letters. And if you start from root and you go all the way to the leaf nodes, you have 4 leaf nodes. The 4 leaf nodes are representing various strings that's are there. So if you start from here, you get A and A dollar first string. If you go down this route, A and N dollar, you get the second. If you go down this, you get the third string. If you go down this route, you get the fourth string, right? So this is a try representation, right? So now we have something called compressed try. Compressed try is nothing but you contract all non-branching nodes. Contract non-branching nodes except the root. What does it mean? It means any internal nodes which have only one child, you collapse it, you contract it with the previous one. Let's start from the root. You see, this node is having only one child. So you concatenate and contract it with the previous one, A, N. You reach this node. Now you have got 3 childs coming out of it. So you do nothing. A, N, E. You see this node, again, this node has one child, so you can concatenate and say a dollar, your leaf node. Now n is branching into two, so you don't do anything, again dollar sign. But you see this branch, this node is again having one child, so you concatenate it with it and you get a dollar. Again, e and dollar you can cotton. So this is your basically a compressed trie. The thing with compressed trie is the number of leaf nodes is always equal to number of strings you want to represent. So leaf nodes are 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have got 4 string values, basically A and N. Sorry, A and A. Second is A and N. Third is A N and A, and last one A N E. So this is basically a compressed trie. Now, what is a suffix tree? Suffix tree is nothing but a compressed trie of all your suffixes in the given string. Now again, let me clear the board and explain you with an example. What is a suffix tree? Suffix tree is nothing but your compressed trie of all suffixes of the given string tree with dollar sign appended to the end of the string. Suppose you have a string, let's say banana. You append dollar sign to it. Let me first make a compressed trie from it, or a simple trie from it, or we pick up this string, start from root, B, A, and from a root we have got all these strings coming around, so they are dollar A, B, N. So first you represent the whole string B, A, N, A, N, A. Dollar sign. I'm making a trie out of it, so I'll compress it and we'll get a. Second, we pick up this A, N, A, N, A, N, A. Dollar sign. Next is N. Start from N, A, N, A. N, A, N, A, dollar sign. Next is A and A. A and A is there, so you create a dollar sign. Next is NA. NA is there, so you make a dollar sign here. Last is A, dollar sign, and then dollar sign. Let me delete this. So this is basically your trie representation of the word banana. You compress it and you get a suffix. So how do we compress? Let's see, we begin at the root. You have one coming out of it, A. Now A is branching here, so you let it branch, dollar sign. You see NA, this internal node is not branching, so you name NA. Now your next node is branching, dollar sign. Now you see whole from here to here, there are no branches for this node, so you make one long string, NA, dollar sign. Now you see, if you go down this path, you see it's not branching at all, so you make a long one, BA, NA, NA, dollar sign, your leaf node. Next one again, you have dollar sign coming out of here, you have N here. Again, NA you see is not branching, so NA. Next one is branching, one is dollar sign, and next is NA, dollar sign. So if you pick up this letter banana, and let's number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see there are 7 suffixes in it. And in this compressed trie, you have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leaf nodes. So suffix tree, I'll give you a general definition of suffix tree now. Another thing we add to this trie is we add these number representations to the leaf nodes. So that tells us which suffix is that leaf node representing. So this is banana starting at 1, this becomes 1. Next is A, N, A, N, A, A, N, A, N, A, this becomes 2. Next is N, A, N, A, N, A, N, A, dollar sign, this becomes 3. Next is A, N, A, dollar sign, this becomes 4. Next is N, A, dollar sign, N, A, dollar sign, this becomes 5. Last one is A, dollar sign, this becomes 6. And that's dollar sign, that becomes 7. So a suffix tree, what will happen if you start from the root and you go to a leaf, this path will represent your suffix beginning at the number representing in leaf, or we can say suffix I to M, where I is the number on the leaf node, will represent, this suffix will be represented if you start from root and you go all the way down to I. So using this, let me give you a general definition of a suffix tree. General definition of a suffix tree is, a suffix tree is a rooted tree with nodes other than the root having 2 or more children. No 2 labels coming out of any node will have strings starting with same labels. And lastly, if you start from root and you go all the way down to the leaf I, right, that path is your suffix starting from I to M, which I explained you earlier. Suffix trees are used a lot. They're used for string matching, DNA matching. I'll later explain how you take out the contaminated DNA strings, And also there is an active project going on where since World War II, there are more than 80,000 US soldiers which have been missing. On an average, since 2015, more than 250 remains are found and they are identified and brought back to US and laid rest. So that is all possible because of the suffix trees, right? Now I'll quickly show you what is a suffix array. Suffix array. Now if you take out the suffixes of these, word letter banana, and list them in the sorted order. Then you get dollar sign, a dollar sign, a n, a dollar sign, a n, a n, a dollar sign, right? Then word banana, banana, a dollar sign, then an a dollar sign, and n a dollar sign. Now, if you list the number which represent your starting point for that suffix, like let's number this starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you see this is at 7, a dollar is at 6, a and a is at 4, then 2, 1, na is at 5, and na is 3. So this here number representation is nothing but suffix array. The important point of suffix array is, if you look at closely, you will see all the alphabets starting with the same are grouped together. Like suppose you have to find out all occurrences of suffixes starting from A. If you are able to locate one, you can locate the rest of them. Same is with NA, NA. Now another thing here to note is you can start the counting from 1 or 0. It still means the same, right? If you're starting from 0, then you subtract this by 1, 6, 5, 3, 1, 0, 4, 2. This is also a suffix array. Numbering doesn't matter. Now if you take out these, forget these alphabets for a while. Oh, actually you need the alphabets. Let me delete this. So this is your suffix array. You have got something called LCP, longest common prefix. Long and common prefix is nothing but you take up two consecutive suffixes and find out what's the length of the common suffix between them. You pick up first two, you have got nothing, no common prefix, 0. You pick next two, A is common, 1. You pick next two, ANA, ANA, 3. You pick next two is 0. You pick next two, 0 again. And lastly, you pick next two, it's 2. So this is nothing but your LCP, longest common prefix. So there is a theorem which says if you have LCP and suffix, you can create the suffix tree, although it's not covered in our topic, but there's something called Artesian trees. So if you have the suffix, you can, using 3, something I learned, 1 and 3, and such way you using LCP, you can construct a suffix tree, although it's not covered in our topic. So next I'll talk to you about how to make the suffix tree. Okay. Okay, quickly one thing I want to tell you. Okay, there's something called implicit suffix tree. Your implicit suffix tree is nothing but remove dollar signs from your suffix tree. you remove the edges which are not labeled. Since you are removing dollar sign, few of the edges will come up which will become empty. And lastly, you remove the nodes, all internal nodes, with less than two children. Means any node which is not branching, if you remove, you will get a implicit suffix tree. Let me quickly show you an example. Suppose you have a string x a b x a dollar sign. Suppose let me make a suffix tree for this. A b x a b x a dollar sign. 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 a b x a dollar sign 2 b x a dollar sign 3 x a dollar sign 4 a dollar sign 5 and your dollar sign here 6, right? So this is an implicit suffix tree for the letter XABXA. So if you want to make a suffix tree out of it, you delete dollar here, dollar here, dollar here, remove all dollars. So you see the sixth edge is now unlabeled, fourth edge is unlabeled, ending in fourth node 4, and this. So if you remove these, now this is your implicit suffix tree, right? So implicit suffix tree is arrived by removing dollar sign, remove edge labels which are not edges which are not labeled, and then remove any internal nodes which have less than two children, or you can say remove any internal node which is not branching. Simultaneously, we have something called general suffix tree. Generic. Generic suffix tree is very important. Generic suffix tree is nothing but, suppose you have got two strings s1 and s2. You make a suffix tree for s1, then you pick the strings s2, and you begin at the root of the tree that you have made in the previous. You start comparing from the root. Suppose in your second string I characters, first I characters matches. That means in that suffix tree as of now, for string s2 from I1 to I has already been incorporated into suffix tree, right? So you begin at s2 I plus 1 to m, pick up the characters and add them to the suffix tree. So that will represent your general suffix tree made from two different strings. To clearly mark the leaf nodes coming out of S or S1, the leaf nodes can be marked with two numbers. First number representing the string it's coming from, whether S1 or S2, 1 or 2. And second number as usual representing your leaf node suffix position. So your general suffixes come very handy when you're doing something called longest common substring you're trying to find within two strings. Later on, I'll show you like you're looking for contaminated DNA, right? Something like that. So this covers our section two. I'll move on to the next section. Is Okenon's algorithm. Okenon's algorithm says that if you have a string, suppose say you begin at this location, you pick up this string and you make a suffix tree of it, implicit suffix tree. Then you pick up this string and you make a implicit suffix tree. Then you pick up this, then you pick up this, and then you pick up this. So basically, Okenon's algorithm at high level will have m phases. Each phase will have I plus 1 extensions. So you have got two loops like uh, this can be represented like this way. Suppose you start at the top, you make, okay, implicit suffix tree is denoted by this symbol, where I represents your position up till which it's represent. So you make an implicit suffix tree T1, right? Your phases will become from I is equal to 1. Your value of I will be used to represent your phase. So value of I is from I to m minus 1. I'll explain why it's m minus 1. You begin your I plus 1 phase. See, we already did a phase 1 by completing this implicit suffix tree T1. So next phase should be represented by second. So automatically it's. So you have J ranging from 1 to I. So basically what you do, these J will represent your extension. You will begin extension J. Also in that extension, what you do, you take that string S J to I. You see that string is present in the implicit suffix tree that you made in the previous phase. If it's present, you try to add the character I plus 1. Means S of I plus 1. This is a single character. You try to add this single character. So by this pseudocode, we can say that what happens in jth extension of phase I plus 1, we can say, so basically in extension j of phase I plus 1, we try to relocate the string j to I in the implicit suffix tree. And if it's present, depending on rule 1 to rule 3, which I'll discuss in next section, we add the character represented by S of I plus 1. This is a single character, remember, to the suffix tree. And in the last I plus 1 extension of every phase, we are adding the suffix, the single character, to the suffixes. This will be more clear when I explain you with this example, XAB, XAB, but this is the high level Okenon's algorithm. Let me take this example XAB, XA and try to create the suffix link using Okenon's algorithm. I think things will be more clear. So I'm giving you an example and explaining a simple string xab xa. I hope it's clear. xab xa dollar sign. So with the first step of Okanon's algorithm says construct the suffix tree. X. Now in second phase, your I is equal to 0. You begin phase I plus 1. Sorry, I is equal to 1 to m minus 1, that is 5. Will run the outer phase. This is the outer. Your phases will be represented by I plus 1, and you will have extensions j, 1, 2, value of I, and you will try to add the character I plus 1 in it. So let's begin. Let's start at the root. We created I is x. Now I is equal to 1. Your I plus 1, 1 plus 1, your second phase begins. So in second phase, j is 1, 2, 2. You pick up s of 1 of 1, that is x. You see x is already present in there. Okay, I forgot the three rules. Let me explain the three rules. So there is called rule 1, rule 2, and rule 3 for extension. So in Okinaw's algorithm, suppose beta represents your string s of j to I. If s of j to I, rule 1 says, is s of j to I exists in the suffix tree ending at a leaf node, then you just add the character s plus 1 to that leaf node. Like in this case of x is entering at a leaf node. Suppose we pick up the next character a. So rule 1 will apply, will add a to it. Rule 2 says if beta exists in the tree, but it's not ending at a leaf node, rather than it's ending at an edge, right? Then in that case, you create a new node and you add I plus 1, that single character. Suppose we had A here, next character was B. No. Suppose after A we had a node going C. And we had to add B. So we could have created a new node here and add the character. So this is rule 2 extension. Rule 3 extension says if this beta plus the single character, this whole string exists in the suffix tree, then you do nothing. Basically, suppose we want to add xa to this suffix tree. We know add sa already exists, so we do nothing. So this is your third phase, right? Third rule, sorry. So there are three rules again. First rule says if beta is ending at a leaf node, you simply add the character to that edge label. Rule 2 says if your this this string is ending in an edge, right? Right, you wanted to add, this was your suffix tree, you wanted to add b to it. So xa is there, you wanted to add b, but b is not there, and this is not ending at a leaf node. So you create a new edge you create a new node here and label it B. That is basically your rule 2 extension. Now rule 3 extension says if the string that you are trying to add plus the character already exists in the suffix tree, you do nothing. This will be more clear when I run the example and XAB, XA. Let's try to create a suffix tree using the Okinon's algorithm. So what happens is initially you get the suffix tree, implicit suffix tree, I of 1, which is you start from root and you create a label X here. Now you move on to next phase. I is equal to 1. Your phase I plus 1, it means your phase 2 begins. Your j will have values 1, 1 to I means 1 to 1. So you pick up the string s of 1 to 1, which is x. You see x is already present. It's ending at a leaf node. So rule 1 extension applies, you add a to it. Sorry, there's a. So j was up till I plus 1. So your j will be 1 to 2 in this case. Now you pick up the string s of 2 to 1. See, within your phase, your I is remaining constant and your first letter is changing. So 2 to 1 is empty string. So you just pick up the single character represented by I plus 1, s of 2 is equal to, which is A, and you try to add it to the root. Now you add the root node, you see A doesn't exist, so you add A to here. So your phase 2 completes. Now your phase I is equal to 2, 2 plus 1. Third phase begins. Your value of j will be 1, 2, 3. First you pick up string s of 1 to 2. 1 to 2 means XA. You see XA is present, so you extend it by rule 1 application. Right? Then you pick up S of 2 to 2. 2 to 2 is A. You see A is already present, so you extend it by B. Lastly, you have S of 3 to 2, which is again empty string. So you pick up the character represented by S of 3. S of 3, which is B. You see B is not present, you add B here. Right? Now you move to the next phase, represented by I is equal to 3. You begin phase 3 plus 1, phase 4. J is 1 to 4. Pick up S of 1 to 4. Sorry, 1 to 3. So 1 to 3 is XAB. You see XAB is present. Let me delete this. So rule 1 extension applies. You add A to it. Next is S of 1. So your next is S of 1 to 3. You already then S of 2 to 3. 2 to 3 is AB. You see AB is present. S of 1 to 3. Sorry, you add X to it. X of 1 to 3 is XAB. and the next character was S of 4 was X, so I add X. Now you pick up S of 2 to 3. 2 to 3 is AB. You see AB is present, so rule 1 extension applies. You add X here. Now you go to S of 3 of 3. S of 3 of 3 is B. You see B is present, so you add the next character, that is again X to it. Lastly, S of 4 by 3, which is again empty string. So you just pick up the character represented by I plus 1, that is S of 4. S of 4 is X. You see X is present here from root. So rule 3 applies. Rule 3 applies. Rule 3 applies says if at the root, you know, if it's present, you do nothing. Now you move on to the next phase. So the next phase is I is equal to 4. Phase I plus 1. I is equal to 4. Phase of 4 plus 1. Your phase 5 begins. Now in phase 5 you start again S of 1 to 4. 1 to 4 is XAB, 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 XA is there. So you just add the next character to it. Rule 1 extension. S of 2 to 4. ABX is present, so you extend it by 3 to 4. BX is present, you extend by S of 4 of 4. 4 of 4 is X. X is present, the next character XA is also present, so you do nothing. Rule 3 extension applies. Then you pick up the single character S of 5 over 4. This is empty, null string. So you pick up the single character represented by S of 5. S of 5 is A. So A is already present. So you do nothing. Now we go to the last phase. I is equal to 5, phase 5 plus 1. See, their number of phases is equal to number of characters. So you start again from S of 1 to 5. S of 1 to 5 is XAB. XA is present, so add dollar sign here. S of 2 to 5. ABXA is present, you add dollar sign. 3 to 5. BXA is present, you add dollar sign to it. Now S of 4 to 5. 4 to 5 is XA. You see XA is present, but you don't see dollar sign is not there. And this is not ending at a leaf node. So real 2 extension applies, you add dollar sign to it. And you create another leaf node. S of 5 of 5. S of 5 of 5 is A. So A is already there, but it's if you add dollar is not present, right? So you rule 2 extension applies dollar sign. So this is basically your suffix tree. If you check all the suffixes XA, B, XA dollar is there, A, B, XA dollar is there, B, XA dollar is there, XA dollar is there, A dollar is there. And lastly, we missed one thing, S of 6 of 5, which is null empty string. So you just pick up the character S of 6 and add it. So you'll create another dollar here. That was last. So this is basically your suffix tree. Now in that, if you calculate the time complexity of it, you'll see there are m phases. Each phases you are having multiple extensions beginning as earlier 2, 3, next extension 4, 5. And within every extension, you are doing multiple matches. So if you do a time complexity of this thing, it will come out to be O of n cube. But we are supposed to do this in linear time, else it's no meaning. So now I'll introduce some tips and tricks which Okenans introduce to do all this in linear time, right? You have so many extensions in every phase and you're doing so many phases. So I'll introduce the tricks one by one and then explain to you how it works, right? Now the tricks of Okenan's algorithm is, let me explain you one by one with an example. The first thing is called edge label compression. So what actually happens is, suppose we have a string represented by x, y, z, x, y dollar, and this is the suffix tree of it. Now, instead of storing the single characters, we store their index. So instead of storing x, we'll store 0 by 0. Instead of storing whole this length y, z, x dollar, we'll store 1 by 4. Instead of storing dollar, we'll store 4 by 4. Again here dollar 4 by 4. This yz x 1 to 4 and zx 2 to 4. Now with edge label compression, what happens is it makes us easier to store the values and know the location where we are rather than going and traversing all the way down and we know where what is the end. Another thing we add to edge label compression is for all the Neve nodes, instead of storing the end, we store a pointer to the last node represented by end. So storing the global pointers towards a leaf node with end variable out helps. Suppose this was our string. Now we had to add another letter A to end of the string. Rather than going to all the phases and comparing, if we store the end of every leaf node, we just can go to the end and increment it by another sign. Dollar A, dollar A, dollar A. This whole operation, this is basically rule 1 extension, can be done in O of 1 time, right? So as you begin the next phase, see in previous phases, every time we'll go to all the leaf nodes and we'll add these characters in successive extensions. Rather than doing that, if we store the end, right, then we can just update the end for all the leaves with the next character. That will save us a tremendous amount of time. That's so. Second trick is as soon as the rule 3 applies, you end the phase and you move to the next phase. So rule 3 is your showstopper, right? As soon as within a phase, your rule 3 applies, you stop that phase and you move to the next one. I'll explain you in more detail as we go down. So T3x, storing the edge, storing the end values, and rule 3 extension is a showstopper. So these are the 3 tricks. Next I'll explain. Next we talk about what a suffix link is. So by definition it says that suppose we have an internal node V with edge path from the root labeled as T alpha. Then there exists another node S of V represented by path alpha. Then a pointer from V to SV is called a suffix link. Let's consider this node A. I'm marking the nodes with red color, so you know. And this center is your root node. This is your root. Let's consider this suffix tree. If you consider this node A, so the path of A is x of xy, starting from the root. Where your t, okay, with t alpha it says that t has to be a single character and alpha is a string. It could be an empty string. T will be a single character. So that's the definition of a suffix link. So let's consider a node A. So node A starting from root is labeled as x of xy. Now consider the node B, it's y. So in that case, alpha is y. So a link from A to B is called a suffix link. Similarly, look at node E. The path of node E is x, y, z. T in this case is x and alpha is yz. You know, see the node C. So a link from E to C is called a suffix link. Similarly, see the node C. The label for C is yz. T in this case is y and alpha is z. So a link from pointer from C to D is called a suffix link. Now suffix link come into play is if the suffix link exists, extending your node becomes very easy. Suppose after your xy, here you have to add new edge labeled T. You know a suffix link exists, you can add another T here, right? Suffix link helps you expedite your process to add the nodes to create the suffix link. So similarly, after XYZ, you had to add T here. You add a suffix link, you can go and add here T. You can go and add here T. Now with C suffix link, two very important properties exist, right? So those properties are, first thing, every internal node will have a suffix link to another internal node or to the root, right? And the property for suffix link says if a node is created in extension J of a face, then the node created in the next extension J plus 1 will be a suffix link or the previous node. This can be easily proved, although it's not the part of our proof. But so all in all, like for this node, there's no suffix link, so it will have a suffix link to the root, right? If you wanted to add after xyz, suppose there is another t coming in, so you add t to here, you follow the suffix link, add t here, you follow the suffix link, add t here, you follow the suffix link, add t. Or suppose after xy you had to add t in the suffix tree, you add t here, go to the suffix link, add t here, again this node will have suffix root too. So every node will have a suffix link to either another internal node. If not, then its suffix link would be to the root, right? And this is for the if a node is created in extension J, then the next node which is created in extension J plus 1 will be a suffix link of the previous one. So we'll use these two things, suffix link, to expedite our process, the processing time, to bring down the processing time to linear time. Okay. Next, I'll show you something called active point. So active point actually tells from which point you have to add the next extension, or you have to begin the next phase, right? So now let me explain you what is active point is. Active point is made by a combination of three things. Active node representing your node, right? Root node, internal node. This is R, suppose I label it by R. This is L. So your active point is your active node, active edge, and active length. So you begin from node, move in the direction of edge, and length will tell you how much direction you have to move in the direction of the edge. Let's consider the string x, y, z, x, y, a. X, Y, Z, dollar. This is a partial suffix tree of it. Initially, your root active node will be R, edge will be 0, length is 0. Suppose after dollar, you have to add X to it. You begin at the root, you see your X is present. So your rule 3 applies. So each rule will have different impact on the active node. You see X is already present. So you change the active edge to 0 and you increment the length by 1. So this will become your active point. So your next extension will be done after that. And suppose after X, let me rewrite this thing. X, Y, Z, X, Y, A, X, Y, Z, $. This is a part. Suppose this is not a complete function. I'm just trying to explain with an example. Right? After X, we had to add Y to it. Now we are at this point, active point. We see Y is present, so we increment the length by 1. And now this becomes our new active point. Our next extension in the current phase or the next phase will start from here. Now after that Y, suppose you had to add a Z to. Now you see from you are at this active point, you see Z is there. But now you have jumped a node to get here. This is your active point. So with active points, when you jump a node with rule 3 extension, this rule 3 is currently applying. See, the string is already present, so you do nothing. So now in this case, what will happen is your node will change to the L. Your edge is Z. Z is represented by 2. So your edge will become 2 or your length will become 1. This is your active point. So the next time you want to do an extension, this active point will tell you begin at L, move in the direction of Z, length 1, right? So just to recap, on rule 3 extension, if you are moving along the same edge label, right, and you are not jumping a node, you increment your length by 1. But as soon as you jump a node, any internal node, all three values will change. Your node will become active node will become the node that you have jumped. Edge will become the direction of which edge you are moving. and your length will become 1. Now suppose after it was b here, right? Now again you are moving on the same edge and you are not jumping a node, so your length will increment by 2. So this will become your new active point. So this is how active point applies to rule 3. Now there is something called rule 2 extension. Now rule 2 extension works in such a way, right? Let me clear it and create a graph for it. Suppose we have this string. And we know that suffix link is, since this is an internal node, a suffix link will exist from here to here. This is internal node P. Q. Suffix link will exist from here to here, and Q will have a suffix link to root. Now suppose after dollar you have to add this string xy b, and initially you are at root -1 0. You begin from root. After dollar you see x is here, your edge becomes 0, your length becomes 1. Try to understand, this is important. Then you move to your pointer comes here. This is your active point. You see y is already present. This was your active point. You see y is already present here. This becomes your active point. Your edge remains the same. Your length becomes 2. Now next point you see b. You want to add b. You see b is not present. So you create a new edge and label it as b. Now whenever rule 2 extension happens, you have to create a new node. Then your active point will get impacted in 2 different ways. The first way is you have to check whether your active node is root or not. So let's take the first case. In this case, since we added after xyz this b, new edge, in this case our active node was r, active node was root. So in this case what will happen, you will increment your edge by 1 and you decrement your length by 1. Now you start from root, go in the direction of edge 1 and you add b. Right? Now what you do, next step, you decrement your length by 1, your length becomes 0. Your active point becomes this, root, you add b here. You understand? This is when active node is root. It's important to understand this thing because this thing will get applied again and again, again and again, again and again. Now suppose after xyz there was z, it was zb. The situation was different. We again start from the root -1, 0. Our active point was root R. Suppose we have to add x to it. We see up from root, x is already present. So our edge becomes 0 and length becomes 1. Now we move to the next, y is there. We see y is there. So your root active node remains the same. Edge also remains the same. You are moving in the direction of s. Your length is incremented by length becomes 2. Now the next thing is z. You see z is already present. So this becomes your active point. But now you have jumped a node like I told you in the previous step. Your active node becomes L. Your edge becomes the new edge, which is 2, and your length becomes 1. Basically, it tells you in your next extension, you have to start from L, move in the direction of edge, that is Z, to 1 length. So this is your active point. Now suppose we have to add B here, right? Forget about the previous step. Now you had to add B here after Z. You are at this location. Now you see XYZ, this is your active point, B is not present, and this is another edge coming out of it. You'll create another edge and add B to it. Now at this point you see here, I was talking about your condition when your root is, when your active node is not root. In that case, what happens? You don't touch the edge or the length. You move along the path of the suffix link. Your P has a suffix link to Q. You come to Q, you add character B to it. Q will have a suffix link to the root. You come here and create B. Then in the end, when you have come to here, your active point, active node, when you came to here, your active node became Q. When Q, you followed the suffix link to the root, your active node became R. You added B to R. Now after adding B, your active point is root, edge, label. You begin from root, you move in the direction of edge, 1 length, you are here, you add B. See, all the extensions with B got added because of suffix link. So this is what is very important you have to remember. If when you are adding a new internal node, your root node, your active node is root, then you increment the edge by 1, decrement the length by 1, go to that point, add that label, then you decrement your length further. When your length becomes 0, you are at root, you do it. But when your active node is not root, then you follow the path of suffix link. Create a node here, create a edge here, then go to root, create. When you are finally at the root, you follow this path, labeled by edge and length. You go there and create it, right? So this is how the suffix link work, and how suffix link together will rules and tricks will be used to do create the suffix tree in linear time. Let me show you how. So let me explain you the linear time construction using an example XAB XAB. So we'll be in the previous section we learned about the active points, suffix link, how the three tricks are, and how active points get changed when different rules are applied. So let's begin this. Initially, the active node is R, edge is -1, length is 0, and edge is minus. And end represent your end of leaf. As of now, we have not begun, so it's minus. So your phase I is equal to 0, your phase 1, you are at the root, you pick up this, you see it's not present, you add to it. One thing I have to tell you, we add another variable called remaining. Remaining is initially set to 0, and at the start of every phase will increment by 1. So initially we begin the phase 1, we change the remaining to 1, we increment it by 1. We are at the root node, we create the edge labeled x. Now this is basically your rule 2 application. And with remaining, remaining will tell you how many suffixes are left in that particular phase, right? Until remaining is non-zero, we'll be iterating to the same phase. And every time we create an edge, right, we decrement the remaining by 1. Now we have created a new edge, we change remaining to 0 and move to the next phase. Next phase is A. Your I is equal to 1. Now your when we move to the next phase, before the next phase, your end was changed to 0. Come again, let me explain this again, sorry. Initially everything was this. You begin the phase I is equal to 0, started from root node, you created x, you increment remaining by 1, and you change the end to 0. End will be pointing to your next node. Now your phase is I is equal to 1, that is you come to A. Your remaining, which we decremented by 1 in the previous phase, will increment by 1, so remaining becomes 1. Your node is R, edge is 0, and this end is pointing. First thing is, since we are storing the end, so your rule 1 applies. So A is automatically updated because we are storing here 0 end, right? And the remaining is 1. You're at this node. You see A is not present, you add A here. Label this as 1 end. Now you have created a new edge, your remaining becomes 0. You move to the next phase, I is equal to 2. As soon as you move to the next phase, we'll increment the remaining by 1, which becomes 1. Your length end is now pointing to 2. Now since you are storing the global end, which I told you earlier, your end is rule 1 applies, your edge is just now we are at B. Again at root we check B is there, B is not present, we add a link and create B here. Since we have created a new edge, our remaining becomes 0 and we move to the next phase. Next phase you are at here. Now from here the things will become very interesting. First thing is your end becomes, remaining becomes 1. Your end is pointing to x, which is 3. Now rule 1 applies. Automatically all your ends are updated with x and x. Now you are at root node. You have to check x is present. Now I told you the rule 2, this rule 2 applies, you do nothing. Rule 2 is a showstopper. As soon as rule 2 happens, you break the phase and you move to the next phase. So in next phase, is you come here, I is 4, your end is pointing towards 4. Now what is happening? Remaining was 1. We broke the phase. We did not delete, decrement the remaining. So in the next phase, remaining will get incremented by 1. So 1 plus 1 remaining becomes 2. Sorry. One thing I forgot to is in previous phase where we were at x, right? Remember? So rule 2 application with active points, the edge would become 0 and length become 1. This was in the previous phase. Now we are at this xa. We check that after x, a is present. This becomes our new active point. Our active length is incremented by 2. It becomes 2. It was incremented by 1. And in the starting of this phase, a was automatically applied to end. Now we move to the last phase. So I becomes 5. Your remaining is incremented by 1 more. It becomes 3. End becomes 5. So basically your dollar sign is added to end of all strings. Dollar. Now your active point is this XA. You check after XA dollar is present, no, you add dollar to it. And you decrement remaining by 1. Remaining becomes 2. Now, like I told you in the previous example, this is an internal node, right? Whenever you create a new edge, you have to check what your active node is, right? So your active node is R. You'll increment your edge by 1 and decrement your length by 1. You'll start from root, go down the path of A, 1 length, and create dollar. Now in the next phase, you'll remove within the phase, you will remove in decrement remaining by 1, remaining becomes 1. Active length becomes 0, like I explained you earlier. Now you are at root. Since your active length is 0, you're at this location. You check dollar is present. No, it's not present. You create a dollar here. You decrement the remaining by 1, remaining becomes 0. You move out of the phase. Now let's see all the suffixes are there or not. XA, BXA dollar is there. A, BXA dollar is there. BXA dollar is there. XA dollar is there. A dollar is there and dollar is there. So this is like your linear time. If you do a time analysis, it gets the job done in approximately 2 of m. That is, which is again big O of m, where m is your size of the string, right? Let me take another example and explain you. But before I do that, let me quickly tell you the applications of this. Suppose you have to locate all the occurrences of XA in it. You start from the root, you match the symbols XA, you see XA ends at this node, right? And one thing before that, you put the numbering. To get the numbering of the nodes, you can either do depth first traversal, or you can just take the number of total number and use these end pointers to find that number. That numbers should be represented by 1, 2, BXA, sorry, XBXA 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So Suppose you have to find of all occurrences of XA in XPXA. So you just create a suffix tree. Then you start matching the pattern from the root. You start from here, you go down and you see at this node XA exists. So all the values of leaf nodes in that subtree will tell you what are the location at which the XA exists. So XA exists as 0 and 3. 0 and 3. Suppose you have to find all the occurrences of A. You start from root, you go down that path, you see A is existing at the node. So the numbers 2 and 4 will tell you where 1 and 4, sorry, this was 1, this was 2. 1 and 4 will tell you where A is existing, right? So these has important applications, very important applications, which I'll explain to you. So where we have a pattern P and we are supposed to find that pattern P in a text T. If text T has n number of characters and P, and using that string we can find it O of m plus n. And if there are some situations where T is fixed for a particular period of time, so we can pre-process and keep it. In that case, to process the pattern P, it will take order of m time just to find one occurrence. So if you suppose K or this pattern P occurs K times in T, then to find all the occurrences you'll need, which is completely independent of the text, right? These has very important applications, like in US Army, we have something called mitochondrial DNA. We have a small part of the DNA which is unique. For soldiers who are alive, this mitochondrial DNA sample is taken and kept on record. In case of a mishap, you have to recognize the remains of a soldier. You can get the DNA from the remains and compare it with the earlier records, right? And this has also been used actively to bring back the remains of the soldiers which have been missing since World War II. We have, on an average, it says that after World War II till now, we have or more than 80,000 US soldiers which are unaccounted for. So in some cases, soldiers' DNA is not on record. In that case, the DNA of siblings or kids is taken or kept on record, and we try to do a partial match with that. This is again using suffix trees, right? So, like in this suffix tree, suppose you have to find out just the B, you can go this rounded route and at location 2 B is there. You can do a partial match also. So these are very important application of suffix trees. Uh, Let me take another example and a big letter word and try to explain how the linear time works. That might actually help. Let's take an example of a word like banana. -1. And let me number it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we begin at root I is equal to 0. Phase 1 begins. You increment your remaining by 1. Your end is pointing towards this, so 0. Now you are at root. You check B is not present, you create B. This is rule 2 application. So as soon as you create your label, your edge, you have created a new edge, your remaining becomes 0, and you move to the next phase. You come at A. Now what happens? Now next phase becomes I is equal to 1. Phase is repeated by I plus 1, so your second phase has begun. Your remaining is incremented 1 by 1. Your remaining becomes 1. Since we are at this location, your edge is now pointing to 1. Since I told you earlier, we are storing the labels. I'm putting in the lengths, I'm putting in this characters to help you understand, but actually we'll store the edge labels. So end is pointing towards. So by rule 1, your A is automatically updated here. Because as you remember, as end is updated, since you are all the leaf nodes, you are pointing, storing a pointer towards the end. So your end will always get updated. So you are at root, you see A is not present, you create A, right? Now as soon as you create an A, this is rule 2 application, your remainder becomes 0 and you move to the next phase. I plus 1 represents your phase. So as you start the new phase, increment remaining by 1, your remaining becomes 1. Your end is now pointing to 2. So automatically your end is updated at all the locations. Right? Now at root you see n is not present. You create n. Or rather let me move this here. It'll be easier. You create n. And this was your end label 0 end. This is 1 end. And this is 2 end. So since you have created a new edge, your remaining becomes 0. You move to the next phase. You come here. I see. So I plus 1 represent your phase. That is fourth phase. Now as soon as you go to the next phase, that is this phase, your remainder is incremented by 1, your remaining becomes 1. Your end is now pointing towards 3, which is A, letter A. So A is automatically added to all the leaf nodes. Right. Now you check at the root, A is present, yes, A is present. So this becomes your active point. Your edge is now 1 because from root you go in direction of 1 length, right? This is rule 3 application. I told you earlier, rule 3 is a show stop, right? Rule 3 breaks the phase and you move to the next phase. So next phase you are at this location. I becomes 4. This is your fifth phase. Your remaining is incremented by 1. Your remaining becomes 2. Your end is now pointing to 4. Now at your active point is this, starting from root, moving in the direction of edge, one length. Now you check after A, N is present. Yes, N is present. This becomes your new active point. Your length, since you are moving along the same edge, your length is incremented by one, rest of it remain the same. So this is again rule 3 application. Rule 3 application is a showstopper. You break the phase and you move to the next phase. That is, you come here, I is 5. Remaining is again incremented by 1. It becomes 3. Your end is pointing to 5. So automatically A is updated all on the end leaf. Oh. In the last phase, we forgot to update the n. So n was updated automatically. Right? Now A is also added to all leaf nodes. And A, 1 second. We begin the phase I is equal to 5. In the last phase, n was updated at all the end nodes. Like I told you, we begin the next phase, so I was incremented by 1, remaining becomes 3. Your end is pointing to 5. Now what happens? First thing is rule 1 applies. A is added to all the leaf nodes. Now your active point becomes increment by 1. You check A is present. You check your A is present. This is your new. So this rule 3 application applies again. It's present, you do nothing, you move to the next phase. You come here. I6. The seventh phase, number of phases is number of strings. So your remaining increment is by 1, remaining becomes 4. And your end is pointing to 6. Now you are at starting from root in the direction of 1, 3 points. You are here. You see dollar sign is not present, so you add dollar sign here. This is your new node. You create a new node P and you add. Since you have created one edge, we'll decrement this to 3. Now, like I showed you, when we create a new edge and we are at the root, we'll increment the edge by 1, edge becomes 2, and length becomes decrement by 1, length becomes 2. From root to in 2 steps in the direction of 2. NA, we create dollar. We decrement, becomes 2. Again, increment the edge by 1, 3, 1 length. Length is decremented by 1. A, after A, you create dollar. So remaining becomes 1. Your length becomes 0. Like I told you, when your length becomes 0, you are at root. You create a dollar. And when the last phase started, dollar was automatically added to all them. So this creates our suffix tree, right? You can check BANA dollar, ANA dollar, NANA dollar, right? ANA dollar, NA dollar, ANA dollar, A dollar, and NA dollar, and dollar sign. All of the nodes exist. And you can easily calculate the numbers by depth first reversal, which is like going down, number of nodes minus 7 minus 7, this is 0, right? 7 minus 6, this is 1, this is 2, this is 4, this is 5, 4 correct, 7 minus 4, 3, right? And this is 7 minus 7, and this was 1, 6, 1, 7 minus 1, 6. So therefore, symbol says number of characters in the leaf, total characters in the string minus number of characters in the leaf, and you get the number. That's one way. Second way is you're having the pointing towards the end, so you can calculate. Again, this has applications like suppose in this word you have to find out all the occurrences of an. Start from here, you find here your an hands here. So you have got 3 points 1, 3, 5. 1, 1, and a here. You are here. We want to find out all the occurrence of an. So you start from here, you go an hands here. So all the leaf in this subtree will give you position 1 and 3. See, 1 and 3. Suppose you have to find A and A. A and A. Again, 1 and 3. Suppose you want to find Na, all the occurrences of Na. Start from N, A. This is the row. All the leaves will explain 2 and 4. Right? So this is basically what we call exact string matching. Also find out all the occurrences. This can have various versions. The pattern P and text T can both be given you at the runtime. If they are both are given you at the runtime, text is of n, then to find the P, your O is M plus N. So whether P is existing or not. If your T is already given to you before and then you have pre-processed it, then the pattern can be found out in O of M independent of the pattern T. Given the T is given you beforehand, you have processed it and you kept it, right? So this is a very good example of actually application. So like I told you, this is nothing but extended to mitochondrial DNA, which is stored for the soldiers, and later on, in case of a mishap, it's used to recognize their remains, right? So yeah, that's one thing. And another application, let me explain, is known as common prefix, known as common string in S1 and S2, like I told you earlier. So you create a suffix tree with S1. Pick up the string S2, start at the root of S1, start matching it. Suppose I characters match. That means that the string starting from S2, 1 to I is already present in the suffix tree. So you begin phase I plus 1 till M. You process this string with the same suffix tree. You add on top of it. And the leaf nodes can be recognized by two numbers. Your first number will tell you which string it is part of, 1 or 2, and the second number, as usual, the starting position. So that tree will be called a suffix tree, right? Suffix tree, general suffix tree, it will be called generic suffix tree. Generic suffix tree is what's used to call find the longest common substring problem. Yeah, that's all. I hope you get something from the lecture, from the tutorial. I tried to do my best. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.